Real Housewives of Atlanta. What would y'all rate this episode?
A 4.
Yeah, yeah. I say a 4. No. You know what? I'm gonna say a 5. We're
I
right
was
in the
thinking the
middle.
middle too, yeah. I was
Mm-hmm.
like, it gave a little bit of something, but not necessarily. Drew and Ralph go on this date to the bowling alley. And of course, they talk about therapy, everything that's going on Drew's plate. And I don't like this conversation. First of all, Ralph sounds like he no longer wants to do therapy because it triggers him. And he feels like therapy ain't going to do nothing but lead them to a divorce because he does not like sitting in therapy, which is so interesting. I don't know if anybody caught it in the Derek Jackson interview, because Derek kind of mentioned when he went to therapy with Danae, it was more of you be quiet, you sit there and listen or whatever, right? Whereas the therapy was more so for the woman. So that kind of made me think of Ralph, because Ralph then it's more of him being dictated to about things he needs to fix, correct, or what he needs to sit and listen to and stuff. So he don't want to do therapy no more because he feel like those things are just gonna lead them to a divorce.
The manipulators never like therapy because they
Mhm.
lose their power to gaslight and further manipulate. And he knows that. So it was almost like a threat when he said it ain't gonna do nothing but drive us further to a divorce. So if you want to stay married, keep letting me gaslight you.
Mm.
It was also a threat to to not have blow-ups. Isn't it? It's better when I don't have as many blow-ups, right? So let's not talk about anything that's gonna make me blow up. Like it was one of those moments for me. And also the language that Drew is using to me,
Mhm.
as much as we want to act like, once again, everybody likes to act like, oh, Drew and Ralph are doing the same thing. And I'm like, honestly, a lot of the times, those women that act like that are being abused. They really are. And they just take on the traits and the behaviors of their abusers,
That's
especially
true.
with people that they don't have the same power dynamic with. So because they don't have to fight for their fucking life in these friend groups and with these women on these shows, they can go and kind of get their frustration and their passive aggressiveness, all of the things that they would like to do in a relationship, they can do it with these women. But I'm telling y'all, as much as everybody thinks that Drew had, like, they think Ralph has to deal with the same Drew that everybody else has to deal with. And I don't believe that. I don't think that. I think that most of the time when women show up like that in front of everybody else, they try to refrain from doing that with their men. They try to
Mm.
be as submissive, and because let's not forget how she was talking a couple of seasons ago when Sonya was talking about getting pregnant. And she was like, I think you should do what your husband wants you to do. That's your job. And it's like, do y'all really think that Drew is not that girl? Drew is still very much that girl. But Ralph is, an asshole. You can't be that girl for a dude that don't care about your feelings. When she said she felt like he don't care about her feelings, I was like, yeah, because he don't. And he ain't never really cared. That Lunchable
Okay.
comment is just nail in the coffin for me. I'm sorry. They keep going back to it. She
Right.
deserved the Lunchable. That lady had 2 kids for you. Why you gonna say she deserved a Lunchable?
He says so much out of range things. Another thing I didn't like about this, she tells him she got to film for 2 weeks and she gonna need help with the kids. And instead of him trying to figure out a solution for the both of them, this nigga says, I'm busy too. I said, girl, what?
Right.
That's your
Like,
response to your
I
wife?
don't make sacrifices. You do. Like,
And
that's
then
what it was
I'm
given.
not trying to be daddy daycare, is what he said. I'm not
Like
tired.
Tide.
But you want to be Michelle Obama and Barack Obama.
He said
Uh,
Barack and Obama. He
that's what
said
he
forget Michelle.
said.
Yeah, he didn't even say Michelle. And that's when she was like, I think you forget sometimes you're married.
No, because he want a nigga.
Ooh,
He want Barack and Obama. He want to be Barack and Obama.
I'm
That's 2 male names,
screaming.
nigga. You telling on yourself.
I cannot. I'm screaming. That really did irk me though. I'm like, Ralph, see, this is why y'all have problems, because you're not getting your way. And honestly, because you want to be the celebrity of the family so fucking bad. And it's so annoying. Like, you want to be that girl, you want to be that housewife. And it's so obvious. I cannot stand it. Like, we wouldn't even know you. We didn't know you. What were you doing before? You work in what?
Technology.
IT. Like, I can't.
Does he
He wants her
really?
shine
I'm
so
like, what
bad.
does he do? I was with Marlo when she said I do the same thing Ralph do, because what does Ralph do?
I know he
And
I
put
don't
I
know
get
cameras
what
in the
Tommy
house.
does. Right.
right. What does
Cameras in the
Tommy do?
house. Embarrassing. Um, Kenya. Kenya talks to Shamia and Candy and says that she wants to have another baby. And we know that she has these embryos and she isn't sure if she's going to have that conversation with Mark or not. Shamia is on some girl once said, and I will go and have my babies and move on. As much as I kind of want Kenya to move forward with the embryos because that's expensive, I really don't because it is your baby daddy. And if he got you tied the hell up legally when it comes to Brooklyn, what you think he gonna do if you have these kids? Even though the paperwork says you have permission and all of that, like you dealing with Mark, like he's
Yeah,
gonna figure out a way to profit off that, and I just wouldn't want the headache.
I feel like it's a way he can still do something because I was thinking of so many cases where like a mother will have a baby, give the baby up for adoption without the father actually knowing that they even had a child, and then the father coming back and getting custody of the child. Like I've heard of that a few
Mm-hmm.
times.
Yeah.
Not that this is even the same situation, but I'm just saying like there's probably so many loopholes as to how he could benefit off of this. And I have to respect Kenya's decision to want to use her embryos. Somebody explained to me like the process of egg retrieval and how it's already fertilized. So I have to respect her decision, but I just don't understand personally, and I couldn't just because I would never. What she's going through, I think I would prefer to have a child some other way than to have another connection to him, whether it be DNA or anything. Like I just wouldn't want to deal with him. I would want him completely out of my life.
Mm.
Um, yeah, I'm split because I do feel like essentially if she really wanted to have another kid, she should be able to use whatever they didn't already paid for and cooked. At the end of the day, like it ain't like this is an easy process to go through and all of that type of shit. So and it costs money. So why should I not do what I want to do just because you're an asshole? But I do feel like if he signed away all his rights and shit, then it wouldn't be an issue because he don't really want to be a
Right.
father anyway. He just wants to make it, hard for Kenya to do whatever the fuck Kenya wants to do. But
Exactly.
I don't think Kenya needs to have another child. I think that I hope this is just a storyline
Mm-hmm.
because I don't think you need to have another child. I think there is something that's a trauma response about this. Like in my mind, I think she may not want Brooklyn to turn out the way she did. So she wants to give Brooklyn a sibling so that Brooklyn will have someone else with her. So she's not like how Kenya was. Kenya was being raised by her grandmother, but she was by herself ultimately. And I think she felt lonely a lot. So it does kind of come off like she's trying to make sure that Brooklyn doesn't feel alone and that Brooklyn doesn't turn into the cold-hearted type of woman that I think Kenya really was because of her upbringing and because of her mom and her dad kind of rejecting her. So yeah, I think she's thinking on another level about this that she's really not maybe seeing or talking through because the idea that you want a baby just so Brooklyn will have a playmate is insane.
Right. Gotcha. Okay.
It's irresponsible, and Mark is gonna use it against you. So I feel like
That's
it's not even
fact.
really worth it. Like,
That
go adopt
yeah.
if it matter that much.
Yeah, for
That's how I
sure.
feel about it. It can't possibly be worth it, especially when you take into account the amount of hell this man has put you through. The divorce been longer than the marriage.
Mm.
She was gonna get a surrogate for everybody that's asking, her having a baby. She's gonna get a surrogate.
Yeah, that's what she mentioned. Let's get to this mental health retreat that the sister had. Ralph ignores the dog fuck out of Drew. Um, all because she hugged Ross. Now, I didn't think it was that big of a deal. I mean, yeah, she probably should have hugged her husband, but I don't think it was that big of a deal for him to respond that way. It's just Ross. Like, how insecure can you be? But it also made me question whether they were already having issues before he arrived.
They
And
were.
Drew,
That's why he wasn't there.
yeah, which is how she was trying to like fake the funk, like, hi,
Yeah,
husband. And he was ignoring the shit out of her. I was embarrassed for Drew. Girl, ain't no way. And then you walked all the way over there to say, hi, husband. I was trying to hug you. I'm like, nah, I would have played petty right with his ass. I'm sorry. I would have act like I don't see you too.
me too.
If
I
you
wouldn't have
want to do
been.
that.
He was just
Okay.
standing there as he went around and hugged everybody in the room. And if I was honestly, if I was one of the other women, I'd be like, nigga, don't do that. Like, go
Yeah,
hug your
go
wife.
speak to your
Like,
wife.
Right.
don't do
Mm-hmm.
this because I can see it and I don't like it. I don't want to be a part of it. So if you
Yeah.
don't want to hug your wife, don't hug me. Okay, thank you. That's how I would have been. But I do feel like everybody really does think that because Drew is a liar and passive aggressive, that she's doing all of these things to antagonize Ralph first.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like they're probably missing the beginning of a lot of this because to me, his whole demeanor when he walked in was like, I'm coming so I can be like one of the housewives. Like, not like my wife is here and she's doing this, but like I'm coming as a damn guest. And when he walked in, he stood over there with the other men and talked to them for a minute. He didn't come over and speak to Drew as soon as he got there. And
Mm-hmm.
so when Ross walked up, to me, Ross really did walk around him and hug her. It was almost like Ross did not think that Ralph was trying to hug her. And so he went and hugged
Mm.
her because it happened so quick. But the way Ross went to reach out for her, and I did not see Ralph reach out. Ralph was looking at her, but Ralph did not reach out to her at all. And Ross came around the nigga and hugged her. And then her arm was still out, like she was expecting him to then come to her right after. But at this point, he's already gotten upset. So now he's gonna go around the room and hug everybody. And then we saw him hugging the lady with the space between her teeth, and that was Drew friend, and that looked funny style. And I always
Mm.
notice when producers like to throw in little scenes that don't really need to be thrown in because they're trying to tell us something.
Yes. A bunch of
Interesting.
people commented because I was talking about the lady. I did not like that scene at all, and it felt real snake like. Um, it just something didn't sit right with me. The you look like you've been working, hey baby. The as you leave, your hand is still reaching towards him with the bye bye. I didn't like that. But they said apparently the lady is one of the original hosts on Sister Circle. That still doesn't
Oh,
change my
yes.
perception of the scene. It doesn't change my perception of the scene. Um, yeah, I don't like that.
I definitely felt like there was a little flirting going on. You look nice. Da 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 da. Blah blah blah. I was like,
You look like you've been
ooh,
working.
okay.
And it's given
Okay.
very much that Ralph would fuck on any of Drew's friends, no matter what
To
they look
hurt her.
like.
To hurt
And I'm
her.
not saying
Oh
this
yeah.
lady is ugly, but at
No,
all. I'm
but
just saying,
she ain't
like,
prettier than your wife.
exactly. I'm just saying, when I saw that scene, it was giving Ralph would fuck on anything. And that's why
It
Drew
was
wasn't having sex with
purposeful.
him when they first came on the show.
Mm.
I'm glad you have reminded me of that because I forgot that she really wasn't fucking with him like that. And Courtney getting her ass on that interview to try to make excuses for him, talking about he was in Tampa for a convention. Girl, were you fucking him in Tampa for a convention? Because we still don't believe y'all blood cousins. And
Mm.
and honestly, I feel like it's so plotty, and I feel like Ralph is plotty. Like I feel like he's very, very plotty. He's the type of dude to bring the girl he's fucking on around you. I mean, y'all remember what happened with the assistant? Like they keep trying to act like we don't remember that shit. But
And
sir,
now there's music video director, too. The one he was in Vegas with.
Oh
yes.
yeah.
Yeah, it is absolutely given. He out here passing that meat around to everybody right in Drew's face, and she knows it. And when she does do whatever she does, y'all have no idea why she's doing it in the first place. Y'all just see her, being passive aggressive towards him, but we don't really know the tea. And y'all know how women do. They protect these niggas. So they not gonna tell y'all all of their fucking business because it's embarrassing to them. They not gonna tell you. They may
Right.
throw their jabs, but they ain't gonna really out your shit because they still trying to protect you. And I feel like she was still trying to protect him even with the passive aggressiveness.
Y'all,
Mm.
what if the chef has something to do with Ralph being protected? Because all that shit don't make
Mm,
sense to me.
it don't.
How you gonna come to interview as a chef? Then Drew and Ralph both decide that because you didn't get hired as a chef, maybe you could become a nanny. Like, jack of all trades, what did you come here for? You don't go
That's
to a
what I
job
said.
interview for one thing and end up leaving as shit. It just don't make sense. The two don't even go together.
And
Maybe if they were similar roles.
who lets a stranger watch their kids? Why is that the
Right.
next thing? Oh, you got hair in the food, so that means you can watch our
Watch the
kids.
Right.
kids.
Right. Right.
So I could
Oh,
imagine if maybe she's messed with Ralph before and he was like, let me get you a job. And she's like, okay, well, if y'all don't hire me or pay me, I'm going to come out to the blogs with XYZ. Um, So I have no idea, but yeah, that all that still don't add up to me.
Courtney called Drew a bitch. When I watched the video playback, I realized she was actually talking about Sonya. But make no mistakes, Mayetta was not lying.
I never caught that. I thought she was talking about Drew.
When she was pointing in front of her, it looked like she was talking about Sonya.
I thought she was just agreeing with Sonya. Like, nah, that bitch, yeah, that bitch called me. You know what I mean?
I ain't look at it like that. Okay, yeah. Yeah, it looked like she was talking about Sonya, but the gag was at the end of the day, Courtney lied. Cause she said she would never call any woman at that table that, but we got it on record that you did. Call this lady somebody in the room a BIT. But it also proves what Manyetta was saying about colluding or alliance or whatever, because it did give that Courtney was out there trying to fight to prove her love to Sheree Marlowe and to Sanya.
And
So,
they was making her fight to prove her love. That's why this bitch. Okay, girl. Yeah, she was in there stroking out, trying to make sure that they felt she was being loyal.
but did y'all catch how last week Drew said that she's no longer cousin Courtney, she just Courtney, and then at the table Courtney made sure to say in-law. When somebody said cousin, she said in-law. I said, "Oh, what done happened behind the scenes that y'all want to be very clear on where y'all stand with each other? Something must have happened on the way back from Portugal or something." That
Besides
was
the
a little
bitch
off.
comment,
Yeah, besides the
Yeah, I
bitch
agree.
comment,
Something
something
did.
happened before that.
Cause this Drew was so open to allowing Courtney in off rip whenever your husband didn't even tell you that they was cousins. You found out from Courtney. And now all of a sudden it seemed like you're trying to create some distance, which should have been done in the beginning, because you don't know that lady.
Just went off a cousin looking stupid. This
okay.
you ain't bring her onto the show. Somebody else did. Um, Drew sitting up there with the therapist, not sure whether she wants to leave or go. I just feel like this, Drew, you're prolonging the inevitable. It's bound to happen. I don't think y'all gonna be together in the next 2 to 3 years. Cut your losses now.